Okay, so the field component of the sample is finished. We're back at the vehicle with all of our samples, and there are just a few more steps. First, it's extremely important to keep your samples cold, so we have a cooler here full of ice. We're gonna line the cooler with a trash bag so that your samples don't get wet and the labels fall off, and so that your cooler doesn't stay dirty. Then we're gonna go ahead and put on our gloves. We are doing a lot of microbial analysis of these samples, so it's incredibly important not to contaminate the soils with the microbes that are on your hands. Okay, so recall that we have in this bucket 40 different probes of soil. We want to make sure that we're sending the lab a really homogeneous sample. So we're going to go ahead and mix it with our gloves on. And the goal here is to make sure that all 40 samples are really mixed. We're picking out any organic matter. We are maybe removing rocks, leaves. But what we don't want to do is just pulverize the soil. This will eventually be analyzed for water-stable aggregates, so we do want some of those aggregates intact. So we're mixing homogeneously, we're breaking up big clods, but we are not just rubbing the soil up against the side or pulverizing it. So once we have a homogeneous sample, we're going to take our pre-labeled bags. It's much easier to label these before you put the soil in, otherwise they get really dirty. And we're gonna go ahead and just fill them. We have to fill 2 of these, so you wanna get as much of the soil in there as possible, but you don't have to be too careful with getting every single little aggregate in there. So we're filling to the fill to here line, and we are gonna go ahead, close it up, and put it directly into the cooler. Same thing with the second bag, fill it to the line. Okay, so we have our second bag. And then we also need to make sure there's enough soil for our Falcon tube. This is a 15 milliliter Falcon tube. This one eventually is gonna go in the freezer. So again, you wanna make sure it's pre-labeled. We recommend that you put a piece of packing tape over the label so that it doesn't come off, it becomes wet. And we're gonna go ahead and just carefully fill that tube. This one gets frozen so that if in the future we wanna analyze these for various microbial communities and activity, we have a sample that is unchanged from how we took it in the field. Filling this, we're doing it to about the 12 milliliter line because in the freezer the soils will expand, so if you fill it all the way up to the top, it may bust the tube. So about 12 milliliters, cap it and put it directly into the cooler. So now we have actually one more thing that we want in the cooler. Once again, a pre-labeled bag. We have our 3 bulk density samples. You can go ahead and just push the air out of those, zip up your bag, and add it to your cooler. In the cooler, we have our 2 soil test bags, our 1 Falcon tube, and our 3 bulk densities in a single bag. Close the cooler, and now it is time to clean our equipment. This is important, once again, because of the microbial analysis that we're going to do. So you want to make sure to clean both the buckets and your equipment. It doesn't have to be, food grade clean, but we do want to make sure that we are not putting this soil sample into the next soil sample that we may take. So I have a rag, I have a spray bottle, and I'm going to go ahead and just quickly spray that down. I'm gonna do the same with my probe. And I'm actually gonna do the same with all of my equipment. That includes the bulk density probe, anything that I took out there that came into contact with the soil, we're gonna make sure to just clean it up. Not only does this keep our next sample from becoming contaminated, it protects the equipment from rust and keeps it clean and dry for longevity. It protects against the transfer of invasive species from one environment to the next. We're gonna make sure all of our equipment is clean with the isopropyl and the rag. We're gonna make sure all of our labeled bags are protected in the cooler. When we get home, we're gonna go ahead and put the Falcon tube in the freezer, and we're gonna store these samples into the refrigerator until we have time to ship them. Okay, so all of your samples have been kept cold. The Falcon tubes have been in the freezer, and the samples have been either in the refrigerator, or because you're shipping immediately, they're still in the cooler. We do recommend that you wait until Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday to ship your samples. So if you're sampling on Thursday or Friday, store them in the fridge until the beginning of the following week, mainly because we don't want our samples to get stuck in the mail. So what you're gonna do is take everything out of cold storage and just put it in a new bag. Once again, we don't want things to get wet or cold or to have the bags destroyed. So we're gonna go ahead and put the soil test bags in a Ziploc and then throw them into a bubble wrapped box so that you can have everything protected during shipping. We're gonna put our bulk density rings in a separate bag in the box. And then finally, we are going to make sure that some of our paper materials are also protected in a bag. That's the chain of custody. We're gonna stick it in there. We will provide each of you with an additional label so that Soil Test can label something on their end. So your labels, your chain of custody can go in here. And we also don't want to forget our ice packs. Once again, we don't want these samples to become hot or to have the microbial communities lice as they're in transit. So we're gonna keep everything as cold as we can. So chain of custody on top. We're gonna go ahead and close, seal the box. Everyone will be given a soil sampling checklist, which has the shipping account necessary to send these on our dime.